Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's DAVIDsTEA Review 2. Welcome to my channel. Today I've got for you my top 10 favorites in the DAVIDsTEA 2020 Matcha Advent Calendar and a couple of honorable mentions as well. I've got my packets right here of the top 10. I've misplaced the 2 honorable mentions, the packets for those, but I've got my notes here. I've got my box here, my Advent Calendar, and I've got some matcha here. I'm sipping on something that's actually in the top 10. Ooh, should I make a little spoiler? No, we'll wait for it. It's not number 1, so it's not, that big of a spoiler if I were to let it slip. And let's get to it here. Let's see. So one thing, this is a nice, very nice, sturdy box. I really like the design of this, the color, everything about this box. It's just really neat. I mean, the glitter. Glitter gets all over the place. I'm not a glitter person, but I could have done it without the glitter, but it's not horrible. I mean, it comes off, of course. Glitter always comes off. Is there anything with glitter on it that just doesn't come off? I feel like everything that glitter is on, it comes off. Like, how do you get it on something? Why does it not just fall off? I don't know. I'm sure glued. I know. But, so yeah, really like the design of this box. Really like the little, chest. These little drawers that pull out. They're different sizes. I like that. I really like that they threw in, different treats and everything. The matcha honey. And I believe the new CEO is daughter of the former CEO, Miss Siegel. She was the founder and CEO of Squish. So that product line of I don't think they're all tea-infused treats, but there were some tea-infused treats, like the alligators that came here from Squish. So that's neat. Maybe we'll see a little bit more intertwine of the, treats and everything on DAVIDsTEA's website or something like that. That'd be neat. So new kind of, not real path, I guess I'll say, for DAVIDsTEA, but new ownership, taking over, so she's already, I feel like, has some great ideas with the subscription box, so that's really awesome. So we'll see more from that. But let's get to the honorable mentions first, and then we'll get to the top 10. For the first honorable mention, I don't have the little packet I told you, but first honorable mention here, I got pumpkin matcha. And the ingredients for pumpkin matcha, you got cane sugar, matcha green tea, natural pumpkin pie flavoring. Now, pumpkin matcha is subtle pumpkin notes. They intertwine with the subtle grassy notes of the matcha. And there's a sweetness that stays around, but it's not overly sweet. I think overall that one was a not too in your face with anything blend. I usually associate pumpkin drinks with with spice, pumpkin spice, with the nutmeg and the cinnamon and everything like that. So and then for all these matchas, I didn't add anything to them. So I just had them as is and prepared them as they say, with the 185 usually degree water, whisk. I did the whisk without every single one of these in the bowl. But for this one, it just seemed like I was kind of missing. I was wanting that cinnamon and nutmeg, and I wanted to add it, and I was like, for this purposes of, the ranking and everything, I'm not going to add it. If I had it again, I probably would add that. Like I say, pumpkin isn't really a flavor that really stands out to me a lot. I don't dislike pumpkin, but I do like pumpkin, drinks, but usually, and I would associate the pumpkin treats and drinks that I have with cinnamon and nutmeg and those other things, because usually when I have pumpkin something, it's with those other things. But like I said, I will have this matcha again and probably add some other little spices to it. The honorable mention, pumpkin matcha. Next honorable mention is vanilla matcha. And the ingredients for vanilla matcha, we've got coconut nectar, matcha green tea, natural vanilla flavoring. Now this one, it tastes of vanilla. It's like a vanilla bean, like a burnt vanilla kind of going on with this. And I don't mean burnt, I get this out of my mouth, this is burnt, who burnt the vanilla? Who burns the vanilla anyways? I guess you could burn a vanilla, something that you're baking with vanilla, but this one is it was like a dessert that was roasted. It almost kind of reminded me of a marshmallow that's been toasted and infused with matcha, but the marshmallow was not a regular marshmallow, like a vanilla marshmallow. The matcha and the vanilla intertwine the most in the aftertaste. When the vanilla kind of dissipates and the more sweetness of it from that vanilla kind of comes and combines with the matcha more. So you have the notes of the vanilla kind of leaving out, but it's kind of passing the baton of the sweetness to the matcha and the aftertaste right there. And so that's what I got in the honorable mention, pumpkin matcha and vanilla matcha. But also, before I jump into the top 10, I gotta mention the matcha star, the mother of the matchas in this calendar here, was the matsu matcha, because that's the base of pretty much all the matchas in this calendar. So, from which the other matchas were born was the matsu matcha. So I have to mention it. I mean, it's not in my top 10 because you gotta pick the flavors, right? I mean, I have to have the flavors, different flavors in my top 10, But for matcha matsu, I do want to mention, in general, that base matcha It's very grassy. Quality-wise, yeah, I've had matchas that are better quality than that. And they get more expensive, like the DAVIDsTEA Grand Cru matcha is an example of that. And it's, it's gonna taste, it's gonna have a better taste to it, better quality to it. It's gonna be more expensive as well. You can kind of look at matcha, see that brighter green, kind of and whatnot. And if you notice, like on the side of the, video, I have the, where I have a video of the matcha and everything. But I do want to apologize if the camera seems like it's moving around a lot. That's because I'm trying to get the matcha from different angles of the lighting. Because if you get it from one way, you'll just see that one lighting, and it may enhance the greenness of it or take away from the greenness. So I kind of get different angles so you can kind of see what I'm seeing when I see the matcha, so you'll know how the matcha and the flavors, everything, how they look and everything. So I did take video of all of them, even though, some of them may look kind of the same. Like I can't tell the difference between, the pumpkin matcha and vanilla matcha. Some people can probably. So, I can on certain ones, you can kind of say like, hey, that's not just plain matcha. When you look real close, you can see like the sugar, the cane sugar in these and everything. But, so yeah, with the matsu matcha, get back to it. Sorry for the little tangent. The matsu matcha is very grassy. You got an airiness that lifts and it sticks around with it. And some of it lays down on the mouth right there. Overall, it fills your mouth with that matcha grassiness. It's definitely bringing the grassiness, but it's fresh, it's earthy, it's light. It stays around after each sip. There's some dryness in the mouthfeel going on that makes you want to like kind of get that going a little bit. And then you notice the notes kind of sticking around. Like I say, it's a nice base matcha, not a horrible matcha, not one of the best matchas I've had. Definitely not a horrible matcha. Like I would have matcha matsu by itself again, So, and obviously I like it enough because I do like several of the flavor matchas at DAVIDsTEA. Like we'll get to my top 10 right now. Number 10, candy cane matcha. Now, with candy cane matcha, it's a very refreshing mint. Like I say, it opened up my nasal and my throat areas with the mint and the smell and the flavor. I wasn't congested when I was drinking this, but how sometimes when you wake up and you wake up and you're a little, you're a little like that. But after drinking this, instead of I was like, it's something like. For some reason, like sometimes when I get up like that, if I could just go straight to this candy cane matcha. It frothed up more and quicker than the other ones right there. And it's probably because there's a milk powder ingredient in this one, and I need to read the ingredients first. And I just realized that you're gonna notice some, you see how hype I am about these videos. I really like doing these top 10 videos. So you may notice some weird editing with the pumpkin and the vanilla because I'm gonna go back and say the ingredients on that. But anyway, so for the candy cane matcha, it frothed up quicker because of the milk powder ingredient. So they did add some more airiness to the flavor of the mint, and it lightened it up like to the roof of my mouth in the nasal cavity right there. Kind of just lifted up, made it higher in there. And the mint notes, they also lay down on the back of the tongue and the back of the throat, but it also lifts up with the matcha, the notes of the matcha. They're touch and go, the matcha right there. This really brings the mint right here in this one, and the peppermint notes right there. And and it moves kind of from the side to side, the matcha does, the matcha notes. They move from the side, they're touch and go, and they're kind of just hopping, like a little, what's that, hopscotch? Matcha's playing a little hopscotch in there or something. And it definitely tasted like candy cane. The mint had like a spearmint kind of essence to it along with that peppermint. So it wasn't just like a peppermint, I noticed, like a different kinds of mint. Mainly those are like a spearmint and a peppermint, with peppermint being like the main one, the spearmint and the matcha kind of touching and going there. And the ingredients for the candy cane matcha, we got cane sugar, matcha green tea, natural candy cane flavoring, and milk powder. Number 9, we've got berries and cream. So with berries and cream, the ingredients got cane sugar, matcha green tea, and natural vanilla cream berry flavoring. So with berries and cream, it's like a blueberry and vanilla creaminess up front. The berry notes are light and they seem like a foam. Like the creaminess isn't heavy, but it lays down on the tongue. There's a sweetness throughout, but the sweetness later pairs up with the matcha in its notes, with the grassiness and a slight bitterness there. And the bitterness is kind of welcome in this one, as a counter to the sweetness, because the sweetness was really coming in this one. And this one, it smells like a berry bubblegum. Like this one smells like a bubblegum, but doesn't necessarily taste like bubblegum. It doesn't taste like the bubblegum matcha, but smell wise it kind of tastes like that, with more of course the berry kind of smell, but like a bubblegum in there. But this one, like I said, is really nice with that blend of that creaminess. Wasn't too heavy, wasn't too light, blended well with the bitterness from the matcha with that sweetness as well. So with that one, number 9, berries and cream. Number 8, wild honey matcha. In Wild Honey Matcha, we've got cane sugar, matcha green tea, natural wildflower honey flavoring. And with the Wild Honey Matcha, I said the honey notes, they go well with the grassiness of the matcha. This one also had like some floral notes going on, like slightly, not like the lavender wild honey matcha. There's a wild honey lavender matcha DAVIDsTEA has as well. But more of like a intertwined floral note. It almost reminded me like a chamomile or a rose. It was kind of like a little bit like of a floral note going on here. The honey notes were smooth in this one, not too outstanding, not too in the background. If they would have came out a little bit more, I would have appreciated it. The matcha in this one, and the matcha just making me laugh, and I'm like, well, I write some of this stuff, I really do. The matcha in this one was a bit brash. Like the matcha is really like oh, you get a little bit, you know it's matcha when you taste it. But you're trying to pick up those honey notes, and hey, matcha is coming out like, excuse me, like matcha just kind of bumps into you. Matcha, you know how you get the stereotype of the New York, you go to New York, you're like, wow, you're like taking it all in, and it's like, poof, and somebody like bumps into you, you're like, man, you're like, I was in the zone, I was in the moment for that brief second, spinning around me, and then like that was the matcha that came in, and the honey taste kind of fades. But I like matcha, so I was okay with the matcha bumping into it, man. So if you like, obviously, you gotta like matcha for most of these. Some of these, the other flavors come out more, so you really don't have to like matcha a lot for some of these. Like, I've let people taste, like some flavored matchas, and they're like, hey, it's not as bad as I thought. I thought I was gonna have grassy. People have some really, matcha does have some grass in it, so it turns off some people, of course. But some of these, like, you could give to people and be like, they're like, oh, maybe I like matcha now. And I'm like, we might not still like matcha. You need to try plain matcha before you really say that. But like some of these, the matcha comes out more, whereas like I wouldn't be something that I would kind of like gravitate towards somebody that doesn't like matcha or is kind of afraid of matcha or something. But some of the other flavored matchas really do, bring that better, a little easier into that better. But with this one, like that, when that matcha came in, I was ready for it though. So it was kind of like I had a little padding. I was like, hey, all right, I was used to it, But that's a New York stereotype. New York's not completely like that. I've been in New York a couple times. It's great. I want to go back again eventually to visit. But like, so yeah, I'm sure, you got people like that. Obviously, they're in a rush, in every city, well, maybe not every city, but big cities, So even medium-sized cities, people are in a rush a lot. I mean, sometimes I'm in a rush, but I'm not gonna bump into somebody. But anyways, so that is number 8, Wild Honey Matcha. Number 7, Gingerbread Matcha. In Gingerbread Matcha, we've got cane sugar, matcha green tea, natural gingerbread flavoring. And with that one in gingerbread matcha, it's a nice gingerbread spiciness that blends well with the grassiness in this one. It doesn't really like, neither one of them kind of stick out a lot. It's kind of like a base. Like they're both just kind of, they're on the couch hanging out. They're Netflix and chilling. Like the gingerbread and the matcha, there's a bright and sweet bitterness going on with the matcha. A taste of like a nutmeg and cinnamon, kind of a little bit in the background. Maybe they're like maybe it's a theater room. Maybe there's 2 couches. Maybe it was like a sectional. And like, I don't know, like you got the main people sitting up front with the best view. And you got the gingerbread kind of notes and the matcha. And then on the side, you got like kind of the nutmeg and the cinnamon. And this was like a chai matcha in a sense, with more sweetness than spiciness though. And that's actually what I'm sipping on here is the gingerbread matcha. Definitely blends that all together. Like I said, nothing really jumps out at you. Kind of a laid back chai, a little bit more sweetness than the spiciness, but not like a lot of sweetness either. It's just pretty base. I don't want to say bland because you do taste the notes there, and I do like it obviously enough. It's number 7 on the list, but like I said, it's pretty chill. Like this is one where I feel like I wanted a chai and I wanted matcha, but I'm like I really don't want to like too much of notes. So, I want to hang out. Maybe I want to Netflix and chill. If you didn't even thought about me, maybe I want Netflix and chill. I do like Netflix and chilling sometimes, or Disney Plus and chilling, like seriously or something. But anyway, so yeah, you just kind of want to take it easy, but you want a chai, kind of. You want some spice. You want some sweetness though. You want matcha. You kind of confused. You don't know what gingerbread matcha. It's kind of bringing all that. So yeah, that's number 7, gingerbread matcha. And number 6, maple matcha. Now, maple matcha here, we've got cane sugar, matcha green tea, and natural maple flavor. And with maple matcha, it tastes the maple syrup notes for sure, with some headiness from the matcha froth. Definitely got that. Grassiness tames that sweetness some, which is needed because this one could have went down the path of sweetness and not turned back. So yeah, but this one tastes like a slight tone of honey, almost tastes like in this one. You could have told me like this was a honey maple matcha and I would believe you because it tastes like that. It tastes like a honey and maple kind of together with more of the maple, but it's just that sweetness, I guess, in general. It's kind of making me think of honey. because typically when I do sweeten my teas, I don't do it typically, but if I do, like honey is one of those ingredients that I would use to sweeten first ahead of like any other ingredients. So in matcha in general, like if I were to sweeten my matcha, like it's probably gonna be honey, or usually I have it plain, or if I have a flavored matcha, I won't sweeten it. But anyways, so yeah, this one kind of led me down that path, and you could have told me like there was honey in that one, in this one, instead of cane sugar, and I would have believed you. But that maple taste right there is nice. It's definitely nice. Definitely got that maple syrup note right there. Definitely like one of those breakfast kind of matchas, so I can see going really well with some of those typical breakfast foods, you know, for sure. A little maple on the pancake, a little on the waffle, whatever you got. But that one will have number 6, maple matcha. I just flinged at you number 5. Like, so yeah, number 5, salted caramel matcha. In salted caramel matcha here, we've got cane sugar, matcha green tea, salt, natural sea salt, caramel flavoring. And boy, salted caramel matcha, very caramel, creamy, smooth, and buttery. It's reminded me of like a buttered caramel popcorn. I know you may think, ugh, matcha and popcorn? Like, Averin, what are you talking about? Like, that doesn't taste appealing. Why is that number 5? No, like it definitely brings the nicest of that. Not like I was like thinking I was eating popcorn, it just reminded me of that a little bit. But the matcha and the sweetness and the aftertaste right there, this is one of the sweeter flavored DAVIDsTEA matchas for sure, but it goes very well as a latte. So after I got to sip it, you know, I sip it some more. I'm like, let me get my notes in before I, you know, trying to get a pack. Usually I just have it plain. This one I was like, I need to have this as a latte, so I need to add some oat milk. So I added some oat milk to it, and whew, like yeah, but I didn't like that like boost it up. Like I was like, you were in the top 5 for sure when I had it. I was like, you're probably top 5 is what I had in my notes. Like top 10, and I kind of lowered it to top 5. But like after I had it as a latte, I was like, this is it. Like I don't think it isn't boosted up ahead of these other ones for me as a latte, but it definitely enhances it. So it went that one. And this one, you know, the matcha undertones, but there's a caramel and a sweetness that override it pretty much. So like this is definitely one of those where the other flavors really, they're on top of that matcha. Matcha's still there. You can still taste it. You can still say, this is a matcha. But the caramel, the creaminess, the smoothness, all that other, but the smoothness kind of goes with that matcha, that grassiness. It makes that grassiness definitely smoother. You know, and if this one became too much for some reason, I would just add more matcha to it. Like if this one, you taste this, and you're like, I wanted more matcha in this one. I like I appreciate the caramel, I appreciate the salt notes, but I want more, just add some more matcha in this one. I think it will just go well. The saltiness blends well with that sweetness too. And this, I don't think I've really had another like salty matcha, but I was like, this goes very well because of that caramel. And this is what it definitely delivers on being salted caramel. Like you have, you know, salted caramel this and salted caramel that, and you're like, really, that's not, yeah, okay, I can taste the caramel. Where's the saltiness, you know, or vice versa. This one brings both for sure. And that is number 5, salted caramel matcha. Make sure I'm flinging the right one to you. And number 4, Yuzu Matcha. In Yuzu Matcha, we've got cane sugar, matcha green tea, citric acid, natural yuzu flavoring. And now this one, very citrus, lemon and orange notes, not just like lemon juice notes, but also like the zest of a lemon. It's like apple cider vinegar. It's like, not apple cider vinegar. I didn't put that kind. I didn't put apple cider. I didn't put vinegar. It's like an apple cider of lemon and orange, but not like apple cider. It's like a lemon and orange cider in this one. And the sweetness goes well with the tartness, because there's definitely some tartness in here. Not like too sour in tartness, but definitely some tartness in there with that lemon and orange, kind of like cider. It made, I don't know, it really made me think of like a cider. But in the matcha is present, but the citrus notes stay very present throughout. When the grassiness of the matcha tries to lift up, the tartness and the sweetness from that yuzu flavoring comes together in the sip and in the aftertaste. When it's warm, this one I've had iced and warm, because many of these on here, I've had them before, and Yuzu Matcha, actually I have a review on it, and you probably saw the link pop up right there on the top somewhere. But I've had this one iced and warm. I prefer this one iced for sure when I have it. It's good warm too. Like I say, when it's warm, the lemon notes are stronger, and it's almost like a concentrate, like a lemon concentrate. You know those little lemon juice, you just squeeze this, you know, like they have the concentrated lemon juice. It's kind of like that as far as how much it's bringing to you. It doesn't taste just like that, but it's really bringing like, I feel like a concentrated lemon kind of flavor into it. And so I like this one hot, but like I said, I prefer it cold and ice. But for this purposes of this calendar and everything, I had it hot, and that's where it lands on me being hot, which I feel like if I had all these iced, it would probably shake up things a little bit, but Yuzu would still be in that top 5 for sure. And that is number 4. I mean, yeah, I said top 5, but that's number 4, Yuzu Matcha. Number 3, Cherry Blossom Matcha. In Cherry Blossom Matcha, we've got cane sugar, matcha green tea, and natural cherry blossom flavoring. This with nice cherry and floral notes. The sweetness almost seemed like it was coming from honey or like a powdered sugar. There's a smooth intertwined cherry and floral taste. Sometimes the cherry peeks out you a little bit more and takes over, sometimes it doesn't. This one goes very well. The grassiness of the matcha is there. It goes very well with it. I mean, like this is just growing from like the soil. It's just you knew like this is good soil. You know, like the grassiness and this floral notes, like it bloomed all of that. The cherry, how do cherries bloom? This is a cherry tree, right? Cherries grow on trees? I think so. But like all that, like a tree was right there. It was surrounded by that grass, like the tea or the matcha and like the little flower, little rose, almost like a dandelion, rose, but not like the herbal kind of dandelion, more of like you bring the rose down to almost be like a dandelion. So you still know it's kind of like a rose, but it's still like not super much like a rose because it's a dandelion rose, like a hybrid of some sense. So that's kind of what I think. Not like it does taste like artificial. I mean like hybrid, like this tastes artificial. All tastes very natural. And there's a nice tartness that's going on, balanced by the sweetness and the other flavors. And this one, let me tell you, smells wonderful. Like all the other ones, like I know I didn't mention it enough, but like the other notes, the other matchas, they smell like the maple matcha smells like maple, and you know you smell the grassiness of the matcha. Gingerbread matcha smells a little bit like something like you got going on, like a chai slightly, like I say, and you know the berries and cream. I told you about the smell of that one, but like yuzu smells like kind of that citrusy and everything. Salted caramel matcha smells like something that's salted caramels. I mean, like they really bring the notes. Like when you smell them, you kind of tell. Like if you had all these separated, sitting down, you could smell each one and go, oh yeah, that's salted caramel. Yeah, that's maple. Yeah, pumpkin and gingerbread almost kind of seem like they maybe kind of smell a little bit similar, but enough in taste, they definitely separate. And then the cherry blossom matcha, you smell that one, you probably want to put your face in it. Like I wanted to, because that one smelled great. I'm just like, just yes, the cherry blossom matcha. I mean, that one smells wonderful. And in the notes, it really, really nice one right here. That tart, sweet, the notes just really go together. It's like the wind is blowing a little bit. You know, when you're stepping out in the field and you plucked it. You just pluck something and it's cherry blossom matcha. It's just, yeah, it's just nice one going on right there. Wonder what that one would taste like iced. I only had it hot, but I feel like that one would be interesting iced as well. That's number 3, Cherry Blossom Matcha. Number 2. I was like really kind of getting into that sip, wasn't I? Like, I was really smelling it too, because like I said, with the gingerbread matcha, some of the smells don't stick out as much. They stick out, of course, more before you whisk them or however you have them. But like after you do that, some of them still stick out. Like cherry blossom still sticks out some. Gingerbread, not as much. You can still smell like some spicy notes. But anyways, tangent. Oh, number 2, raspberry matcha. In raspberry matcha here, we've got cane sugar, matcha green tea, natural raspberry flavoring. This one fresh, light, but flavorful. Not overly abundant with the raspberry flavor, but the berry notes are there and it goes very well with that matcha grassiness. This one, refreshing, hydrating, the sweetness is really nice in this one. I mean, this one, like I said, it really brings the raspberry. You're not like wanting more in this one. You're like, that's a good amount of raspberry. It doesn't leave you like, if you're really bringing those berry notes, you're like, come on, you're bringing too many berry notes. And sometimes you're like, maybe that's artificial. So very natural in its taste. Raspberry, slight that tartness and everything. Not a lot of tartness, but enough to let you know like it's a raspberry. Sweetness, it was bringing more. Hydrate. It's like one of those, you see a batch of raspberries, and some of them are kind of small, kind of shriveled. Some of them got the little hairy stick out of them. This one you see just nice and plump, and you're just like, that's the one I'm getting. And it just bursts to your mouth and just hydrate. That's how raspberry matcha is bringing it. This one, smooth but not too heavy, not too much anything. This one is great ice as well. This is one I've had before, and so I try not to make that, but you think of it and you're like, this one is nice hot, very nice hot, great ice. Like this is one, I'm trying to think, I probably prefer this one iced, but like not to where the point where I would like always go to it iced. Like it's definitely a nice one to have hot. but it's also a great one to have ice. So it's definitely like one of those that's multifaceted. Because some of these on the list, you know, like they're better, just better hot. They're like having them ice, I'm like, ugh. It's like, some of them are really good, like hot as lattes, or just hot. Some of them go both, like the raspberry, very great hot, great iced, great as a latte, you know, like, so some of them are like multifaceted, and that kind of adjusted the list some on the ones that I've had, you know. So with this one, they like the berry notes, it just goes very well, like very smooth and flavorful. This one brings the flavorful of that raspberry, the berry notes, and it just really goes well with that matcha grassiness. It tames it a little bit, but not enough to where you're like, this is just raspberry or something. The matcha's still definitely there with that grassiness. Very smooth, light, but flavorful. It's just the right amount of flavor going on with this one. And that is number 2, raspberry matcha. And number 1, here we go. At number 1, we've got peach matcha. And in peach matcha, we've got cane sugar, matcha green tea, natural peach flavoring. And peach matcha, this one is just, this is the one, like all these on the top 10 I would buy again. Like, yeah, that's how much I liked all of these. Like, all these I would buy again. Honorable mentions. And with the honorable mentions, you know, like that pumpkin and the vanilla being the honorable mention, I feel like if you put both of those together, they would go very well together. I feel like both of those together would probably have been on the top 10. Like if it was like a vanilla pumpkin matcha or pumpkin vanilla matcha. Which one sounds better? I don't know. But like taste-wise with the notes, I feel like they were very much complement each other. So next time if I have myself some pumpkin and vanilla, I think I'm gonna mix them together for sure. But yeah, and the peach flavor starts off kind of like a baked peach taste that has a dash of spice. But with it, the spice is like the sweetness as well, like of the cane sugar. And the light but present grassiness of the matcha blends easily with the upfront taste of the peach. They're both in there really nice. Like this peach note, like you're the matcha, like you're walking in that city, you're the matcha, and the peach brushes up against you, but it's like not in a rush, kind of in like in a flirtatious way or something. You're like, oh, and you're both like on a, it's like a love at first. It's like yeah, and you're like, you're walking together, you're still brushing up against each other, walking together. Like I don't know what's going on. Like you know what's going on? I don't know what's going on, but you like it, and it's approachable, and it worked. And it's not harassing. You both welcomed it. And you're walking, but you're just kind of brushing up along. And then you start holding hands. And you're finally like, oh, like I know who this is. We know who each other are. But it's like, what are these two people doing? Did this just happen? Because that is what this one did with the flavors of that peach and the grassiness. They complemented each other well, and they were very smooth on each other. The smooth yet kind of grainy mouthfeel is going on, but it's kind of like a light creaminess as well. Not like super creamy. Like I didn't think like, oh, there's creaminess or something too. I've had the peach matcha before, so I knew what's in it. You know, I mean, like both of these are pretty much like 3 ingredients. So with peach matcha, it just that note with the peach really brought it, and it brought like the peach flavor. But I feel like the peach brought that smoothness and that creaminess more that really went with the matcha better. And it leaves you with a lighter peach note that's closer to like a fresh peach instead of that baked peach. Because when it starts you out, when you're tasting it with that grassiness of the matcha, it's like giving kind of like a baked peach kind of note almost. But when it leaves you with that aftertaste, it kind of turns into like a fresh, like more of a peach kind of note. But neither one are like too in your face, like, hey, you like peach, you're gonna get this peach, you know, like you're feeding a baby, you're like who feeds a baby like angrily like that? No, hopefully nobody does. But like, you know, like you're just going right towards the mouth. Like that's what I mean, like you're just going right toward, not this peach. This peach isn't going right towards the mouth. This peach is an airplane. You know, it's that fun, like, you know, it's coming at you, it's like, but and it is light on you. So it's not really coming at you, it's coming at you in a way that you're appreciative of. You're smiling with this peach, you know? You like this peach. And all throughout, that peach that's, you know, coming at you, the baked kind of taste, the fresher kind of peach taste, it's not coming at you very hard. It doesn't taste like it's artificial. It's not trying too hard. Each time, those peach notes, because sometimes it comes in a little bit more. Each sip, you know, sometimes it comes in less, but each sip, you definitely know it's peach. And it's definitely there and present, but it's never like overwhelming to stay. It never comes at you too hard. Very well with the matcha. This was a very versatile one as well. That peach matcha, I've had it hot, had it iced, had it as a latte. It's great everywhere I've had it. Just real kind of like one of those just go-to matchas. That's one of the reasons why it was number 1. Like some of the other matchas, I might have to be kind of like in the mood for it. Like kind of like oh, I want this one today. I'm kind of feeling some, you know, not one of them. Like some of these can see myself drinking every day. Peach matcha is one that I could see myself drinking like every day. I mean, I don't drink like flavored matchas every day. If I'm gonna have a matcha every day, it's usually probably gonna be like a plain matcha or something. And then maybe some days I'll add this, and maybe some days that, or have it this way, or something like that. But like, if for the flavored matchas, if I had to choose like one to have every day for a whole month, like as a challenge or something, it would be peach matcha. And that is number one, peach matcha. This was a doozy. This top 10 was hard to pin down exactly. Like a lot of the matchas I knew for sure. Like I said, yeah, your top 10. Or some of them, your top 5. I had to like kind of kick some around, like move the numbers around or something. I was like, well, I like you, but I like you more than that. And then I like you because I tried to not be too biased on the ones that I've had before. Like, I've had that one iced and it's ooh, or something like that. But I mean, it's hard not to in a sense. Like, for some of these, I'm like, this one's so good iced too. But like, judging it based, first I was judging it based of it being hot. So like, it had to be good hot as well. Like, it couldn't, like, if for some reason I only like Yuzu cold iced and I had it hot and I was like, oh, this is disgusting or something like that, it wouldn't have made the list. That's how harsh I was being. Like, same thing for peach matcha. But I definitely enjoyed sipping my way through this calendar, enjoyed putting the list together regardless of how jumbled up it got and kind of like challenging it got with, pinpointing exactly where matcha's gonna go on the list and everything. I definitely enjoy still doing that and making the video for you all. Enjoy that cup of tea or that bowl of matcha you got. Take care.